Asterisk soft piano chords drift through the speakers as our narrator's voice unfurls like velvet. Welcome, dreamers of glass towers and whispered secrets. A gentle pause and then the invitation. Before we begin, tell me where you're watching from in the comments, crystal clear. If you love billionaire drama, hit like and subscribe. The storyteller paints a single image, city lights shimmering on river water, a silhouette against moonlit skyline, a promise of opulence and danger, a breath. Tonight's tale, mistaken for the curator by an art magnate. She discovered his greatest masterpiece was love. The words linger, then, a soft echo, ready to step into his world. What secrets await beyond the velvet rope? Asterisk, a single crystal chandelier hovered like a frozen waterfall above the grand hall. Its teardrop prisms fractured light into 1,000 rainbows dancing across marble floors. The air thrummed with soft violins and hushed laughter, punctuated by the clink of baccarat flutes. Velvet ropes lined polished brass stanchions, guiding champagne-red gowns and midnight black tuxedos toward an enormous oil masterpiece, the dawn of reverie. Eveline Hart slipped between the crowd, heart fluttering like a trapped bird. She'd never seen such opulence. Walls draped in silken tapestries, gilded cornices carved with cherubs, an entire string quartet perched behind a rosewood railing. Every guest moved as though floating, no one dared disturb the still perfection. Behind the guests, a gleaming staircase arced upward. At its apex, a pair of imposing bronze doors promised even greater wonders. The magnate's private salon. Tonight, only the chosen few would pass through. Tonight, they celebrated art is art. Eveline inhaled, tasting the rose-kissed bubbles in her flute. An assistant in a crisp black suit approached, lowering a voice like velvet. Ms. Hart, your seat is at table 7, beside Mr. Bennett. Will that be all? She managed a nod, her hands trembling so slightly she feared betraying her roots. It was her first real gala, an invitation from a friend's work-study program at the City Museum. She'd thought she'd be a ghost of the evening, blending into the wallpaper. Instead, she felt every eye like a spotlight dot. Just as she sank onto a plush velvet banquette, 2 maids in ivory gloves swept by. One paused, whispering something into the other's ear. The second's eyes darted toward Eveline, a flicker of recognition in their gaze. Eveline frowned. Who was that? Before she could focus, the steel and glass doors at the room's far end swung open. A hush rippled through the crowd. All eyes turned as he descended the stairs. Adrian Sinclair, art magnate, and the world's most talked-about bachelor, tall as a cypress, with an impeccably tailored tuxedo and hair the color of burnt chestnut. He moved like a predator, graceful, unhurried, magnetic. Cameras flashed. Guests bowed. In that instant, the room felt both infinite and compressed into the narrow aisle between him and her. In his right hand, he held a glass of champagne, the bubbles racing to the brim. With a single, casual gesture, he raised it in salute. A tremor ran through the audience. Then, just as he reached the foot of the stairs, he tripped clumsily for a heartbeat. As if gravity had conspired against him, champagne arced through the air. Time slowed. The golden liquid spiraled toward Eveline's lap and the edges of the dawn of reverie. Her breath caught. Asterisk. The crystal flute shattered like a starburst against marble. Champagne droplets spattered across Adrian's tuxedo, then hissed on the canvas's gilded frame. Gasps rippled through the hall. Eveline's cheeks burned. She leaped from her seat, voice caught in her throat. Around her, guests froze silent, witnesses to the slow-mo catastrophe. Adrian's eyes snapped down to the dawn of reverie. Its cremangold swirls blurred under rogue bubbles. He knelt, brushing a droplet away with white-gloved fingers, face unreadable. Ms. Hart. A steward's voice trembled. You the curator tonight? Eveline blinked. I'm a guest. But you've taken custody of the damage, the steward insisted, pointing at her trembling hand, metallic glove tracing the canvases. Edge, you must oversee restoration. A hush fell. Flashbulbs ignited. She swallowed. Never had her museum internship prepared her for this. Behind her, the chandelier's prisms glowed like a constellation. Adrian rose, each movement measured. He extended a hand dusted with powdered sugar from spilled sweets. I'll need your expertise, he said, voice low yet carrying. Her heart thundered. Expertise. He truly believed she was the curator. Swirl of servants closed in, murmuring directions. One snapped photos. Another pried the frame loose. All eyes fixed on Eveline, hero or culprit. Nobody agreed. In that moment, her small-town world split in two. One half remained anchored to embarrassment. The other surged with adrenaline. Could she keep this charade? Could she learn on the job? Adrian offered a courtly nod. Lead me to your office. We'll begin the assessment. She glanced at the crowd, at the blank stare of the canvas waiting to be saved, and at him. Behind the mask of polished perfection, his eyes glittered, curious, challenging. Her pulse raced. If she refused, what then? A scandal, a viral humiliation, or an invitation into his hidden world? The private doors at the stairs' summit beckoned. Velvet drapes parted like theatre curtains, revealing a stairwell lined with sirens of sculpture and flickering sconces. After he murmured, she stepped forward, one foot crossing the threshold into privilege, the other rooted in self-doubt, and, just like that, the gala resumed its rhythm behind them. Music swelled, laughter resumed. But Eveline and Adrian moved, as if in their own universe. A soft click of the door sealed her fate. What will she discover in Adrian's private salon? Will her secrets slip before the night ends? Eveline Hart awoke each dawn to the distant clang of the factory whistle. Her family's modest row house sat beside soot-streaked brick, the windows rattling with every shift change. Yet inside, her world was painted in every hue of her mother's oil palette. By age 8, Eveline could mix cerulean and gold so precisely the local art teacher called her little alchemist. She'd spread newsprint across the kitchen table, using leftover bacon grease to darken her charcoal sketches. Her siblings chased fireflies. She traced their flight with a stick of chalk. Her father, a tow truck driver with calloused hands, believed art was a frill. He'd rumbled down the stairs each morning, dropping his lunch pail like a verdict. Draw me engines, kid. That's what pays the bills. Eveline would smile, hiding her graphite smudges beneath neatly sharpened pencils. At school, she was the quiet one, the girl who doodled in margins, lost in worlds of ruined castles and moonlit gardens. Her best friend, Marisol, would find her, perched on the playground wall, offering a seashell or a found feather in exchange for a storybook. Tell me one more tale, Marisol would say, and Eveline obliged, weaving ancient legends from half-remembered poems. When the county art fair opened each summer, Eveline hawked miniature landscapes for 50 cents apiece. She saved every penny in a battered metal tin marked gallery. Marisol's mother would chuckle, slipping Eveline an extra $1. You'll need it for college, she'd tease, though college felt as distant as the moon. One chilly afternoon, a flyer appeared on the school bulletin. Regional Art Scholarship winner exhibits at City Museum. Eveline's hands trembled as she read it. Her mother pressed a hand to her heart. You have to try. But her father crossed his arms. It's a long shot. Better focus on real work. That night, Eveline snuck into the garage. The family's ancient pickup leaned on rusted jacks. Creeping beneath it, she discovered a jagged canvas wedged in the wheel well, an abandoned study in moss greens and ochres. With trembling fingers, she peeled it free. It was imperfect, edges torn, but in its stains she saw a hidden castle. She painted over the tears, infused the strokes with every daydream she'd ever dared. When morning's first light filtered through the dusty garage window, she packed her entry to seascapes and the repaired canvas. She hoped her father would approve. Instead, he handed her change for a soda. Good luck, he muttered without looking up. Weeks later, the school announced 3 finalists' names scrawled on a cracked chalkboard. Eveline's heart pounded as she scanned the list. There, E. Hart. Marisol jumped up and down, shrieking. Eveline felt tears slip free. Joy, relief, disbelief. The regional judges gathered at the museum's oak doors. Eveline stood stiffly, arms crossed over her portfolio. A stern curator in horn-rimmed glasses paused before her seascape. Then the repaired moss canvas. He squinted, tapped his chin, then nodded once. Congratulations, Miss Hart, your work will display alongside professionals. Her mother wept. Her father clapped her on the shoulder as if he'd just won the lottery. Eveline's world shifted. In that moment, she promised herself she would conquer every gallery, every skyline one brushstroke at a time. Yet every promise to herself carried weight. By senior year, she'd balanced 3 shifts at the diner with the P-art classes. Her sketches grew lean with exhaustion. Her hands cramped. Marisol fought back tears at graduation. Promise me you'll go to art school, she whispered. With the last dollar from her gallery tin, Eveline bought a one-way bus ticket to the city. She hugged her parents in the dusty living room, inhaling the scent of engine oil and hope. "I'll make you proud," she vowed, now standing in Adrian Sinclair's gallery. That promise rattled in her chest. Could a small-town dream survive? A world built on wealth and power? What would you do if you were Eveline, clutching that precious scholarship in a world of marble and crystal? Comment below. **** City streets roared like untamed beasts. Eveline clutched her portfolio as buses thundered past neon-lit storefronts. Her scholarship had bought her a cramped studio above a tailor's shop, yellowed walls, spotted with mildew, but hers alone. Each dawn she sketched, until her charcoal stubs wore down to mere nubs, then dashed to the museum internship. Heart pounding under her threadbare coat, she learned to navigate grand salons and whispered gossip. Which curator favored which painter, the price of a single Damien Hirst nugget, the closed-door auctions that could make or break a career. Nights she returned to her studio, knees aching, to repaint her dreams in pastel washes and bold impasto. Marisol's letters arrived, every weak ink smudged from tears of joy and phantom heartbreaks. "You belong among the masters," she wrote. Eveline clung to those words when rejection letters piled like autumn leaves. "Talented, but not quite right. We advise further study. Thank you for your submission." With each no, her resolve hardened. One winter evening, she discovered a faded mural in a back stairwell of the museum, a forgotten masterpiece of a widow holding a broken lyre. Its edges crumbled. Centuries of neglect had dulled its brilliance. Eveline rallied fellow interns, raising small donations to restore it. They scrubbed centuries of soot, patched tears with resin, and unveiled the lyre's silver strings gleaming again under candlelight. The museum director attended the modest unveiling. He regarded Eveline with new respect. "Your passion revives. Legend," he said. "I'd like to recommend you for tonight's gala." And so, from that hidden stairwell to Adrian Sinclair's chandeliered hall, Eveline's journey came full circle. She was no longer the shy girl from the row house, was a curator in spirit, if only by audacity. Still, doubt lingered. Could she truly fill that role under Adrian's exacting gaze? The clock hands ticked toward midnight. In Adrian Sinclair's private salon, walls glowed with velvet panels and gilded mirrors. A long mahogany table stood beneath a modern chandelier, crystal prisms dangling like icicles. Eveline followed Adrian's white-gloved assistant, breath catching at every polished surface. He gestured to a painting draped in silk. "Reveal," he commanded. Two attendants pulled the cover away in unison. The dawn of reverie gleamed under hidden spotlights. Swirls of gold and cream formed a sunrise over phantom cliffs, an original Adrian had kept secret. Eveline's pulse raced. Her mind catalogued every brushstroke, every texture. Her careful internship training surged to life. If only she'd had longer to prepare. Instead, fate had cast her as curator tonight. A glass of champagne appeared in her hand, offered by a tuxedoed attendant with a bowed head. She raised it, voice quiet. "It's breathtaking." Behind her, the salon doors swung open. Guests streamed in, socialites in sequined gowns, tycoons in velvet jackets, art critics with sharpened pens. They murmured, "The collector's masterpiece, his finest work yet." Phones emerged, flashbulbs firing like tiny thunderstorms. Eveline squeezed the flute stem, surprised at her own calm. "Adrian," she began. The canvas has a sudden slip of the attendant's tray, sent another glass toppling. Champagne arced toward the painting's edge. Time slowed. The bubbles spun in a shimmering arc, as if dancing to a wordless waltz. Eveline lunged, fingers grazing the wet panel. Guests recoiled, mouths agape. The liquid raced across gold leaf, seeping into the finest cracks. The orchestra stuttered mid-phrase. Adrian's eyes widened. What would you do if time slowed around Euphrates? Flee, or fight, to save the moment? Comment below. Adrian moved like a panther. He caught Eveline's wrist, steadying her. "Stand back," he murmured, voice taut with command. But his other hand hovered, uncertain whether to shield the canvas or withdraw. Guests pressed forward, eager for spectacle. Cameras flashed so bright they burned spots on her vision. The champagne slick glimmered under each bulb, threatening to swallow the sunrise. Eveline's breathing stuttered. She wiped at the liquid with the corner of her glove. It spread like wildfire. Her heart pounded a frantic tattoo. She'd ruin an irreplaceable masterpiece. Allow me, she whispered, stepping closer. Every step felt weighted by judgment. Adrian's gaze softened. Do you know how to handle this? He asked. She nodded, though her stomach twisted. Acetone, cotton-like pressure. He watched her every move, his silent appraisal more piercing than any critic's pen. A valet produced a silver tray with tools, swabs, sprays, soft brushes. Eveline worked with trembling precision, dabbing, lifting, coaxing the bubbles away from paint. The salon held its breath. Finally, she straightened. Damaged halo around the sun had faded. The canvas looked almost unscathed. A single golden droplet remained like a tear. Adrian exhaled. The audience erupted in tentative applause. Eveline's cheeks burned. She bowed her head. A reporter elbowed through. Ms. Hart, can you confirm you're the new curator? Her voice trembled. Into the mic, Eveline straightened, spine stiff. Tonight, she said, I'm simply here to preserve beauty. Adrian stepped forward, placing a hand at her back. She did more than preserve it, thanks to Ms. Hart, that the dawn of reverie lives on. His baritone carried across. The salon gasps and cheers swelled. Flutes of champagne appeared again, this time as toasts. Cameras circled like vultures. Eveline realized the world had mistaken her for the curator. Adrian offered a single smile that gleamed with unspoken promise and challenge. The midnight bell chimed. In that echoing note, a new chapter began, one neither of them had scripted. What secret will Eveline discover next in this glittering maze of power and art? Asterisk, asterisk. Eveline slipped into the servants' corridor. The salon's glittering fanfare muffled. Behind heavy oak, her pulse thundered, adrenaline dissolving into nausea. Every face in the main hall had watched her save the dawn of reverie, and yet she felt hollow, as if the spotlight had exposed every hidden doubt. In a narrow alcove lined with storm-grey drapes, she leaned against the wall, gloved hands trembling. The echo of Adrian's praise still rang in her ears, but she couldn't quiet the whisper. You're a fraud. Tears blurred her vision. All those rejection letters, the not quite right scribbles, the discarded funding proposals, they flooded her mind. Had tonight been one grand illusion? Had the world mistaken her courage for credential? Behind her, soft footsteps approached. Marisol stepped into the dim light, coat dusted with confetti. She wrapped Eveline in a fierce hug. You were brilliant, she whispered, voice trembling. Did you see their faces? They believed in you. Eveline shook her head, chin quivering. I almost ruined it. What if he finds out I'm not the real curator? Marisol's eyes flashed with stubborn pride. Then you'll tell him the truth. You'll show him everything you've built from that moss-green canvas to this moment. A distant chime marked 1 a.m. The corridor lights flickered, casting long shadows. Eveline's heartbeat slowed, replaced by icy resolve. She had orchestrated that midnight rescue, no one else. She smoothed her skirt, wiping away phantom tears. I can't keep hiding. Marisol slipped a hand into hers. You won't. But first, rest. Tomorrow, we plan. Eveline closed her eyes, inhaling the faint scent of roses from the main hall. Outside, the city's lights pulsed like distant stars. Inside, a private war raged between her doubt and her daring. She forced a small smile. Okay, tomorrow. But when she opened her eyes, the corridor behind her was empty. No bomb for her fears, only the hush of secrets. She glanced at the steward's door, a small brass plaque reading Curator's office. Adrian had shown her this path. Now, her next step could confirm her on-stage triumph or trigger a backstage fall. What would you do if every heartbeat was laced with the risk of exposure? Eveline pushed open the Curator's office door. Polished oak, lined with leather-bound ledgers and soft lamplight. A single chaise lounge sat beneath an original sketch, Adrian's earliest work. Unsigned. She stepped inside, heart still pounding. The door clicked shut behind her. Silence except for her breath. Then footsteps. Adrian emerged from shadow, sleeves rolled to reveal sculpted forearms dusted with charcoal. I owe you more than gratitude, he said, voice low. Come with me. He swept past her, guiding her down a narrower corridor. Tapestries of legendary restorations lined the walls. Each depicted a miracle. Torn frescoes made whole. Waterlogged canvases revived. Tonight proved you have the hands and the eye, he continued. I want you to head my new restoration initiative. You'll oversee every piece that enters my collection. Eveline's mind spun. The genuine curator lived for decades. Her resume held a few internships. I'm not ready for that, she whispered. Adrian's gaze held a spark of defiance. Neither was I at 20. Yet I learned by doing. Starting today, you'll learn on your terms. He paused before a glass case holding a battered Renaissance sketch. Tomorrow, we travel to Florence. There's a heist-ruined Madonna begging for revival. Her breath caught. International travel, instant reputation, but also instant scrutiny. He offered her a slender, leather-bound handbook. Sinclair Collection Protocols. Sign here, he said. This must happen today. Eveline stared at the signature line. Beneath it, the words Curator Emerita Sinclair. Collection shimmered to the world. Outside the corridor's gilded walls held its breath. Behind them, muffled laughter from the gala noire. Their star curator had been chosen. Eveline's pulse thundered. Could she claim a title she'd never earned? Could she refuse and risk offending the most powerful man in the art world? What would you do in Eveline's shoes? Accept the title and the whirlwind, or step back to protect your secret? Early dawn found Eveline in the Sinclair penthouse's marble gallery, sunlight slanting through floor-to-ceiling windows. She traced the gilded frame of a newly restored Baroque tapestry, while Adrian's sister Camille watched with arms folded. Camille's lips curved in a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. So the prodigy curatrix arrives overnight, she murmured. I suppose we should toast your unprecedented promotion. Reporters gathered beyond the gallery's glass doors, cameras trained on every whispered exchange. A flashbulb popped, as Camille added, I hope you can handle the Sinclair legacy. Eveline's throat tightened. The Sinclair name carried weight, an empire built on Renaissance acquisitions and cutthroat auctions. Camille's question dripped with challenge. Adrian appeared, shoulder-brushing Eveline's. Breakfast in the boardroom, he said softly. We'll address any concerns. In the private elevator, Eveline exhaled. The gilded lobby lights faded behind them, replaced by cold boardroom fluorescence. Sinclair executives offered curt nods, a butcher's market of alliances. One senior curator cleared his throat. Madame Curator, our latest acquisition comes from the Rothschild estate. The patriarch insists on full authentication before transport. Eveline steeled herself. I'll lead the provenance review myself. Whispers rippled. Camille's gaze flicked from Eveline to Adrian. Was this unauthorized? The elevator dinged. The door opened onto polished mahogany. Adrian's hand found Eveline's shoulder. You belong here, he said, quiet but certain. As the boardroom doors closed, Eveline realized the real test wasn't restoration, it was surviving Sinclair politics. What would you sacrifice to prove your worth in a world of heirs and agendas? Late afternoon, the restoration lab smelled of lavender, polish and old wood. Eveline hovered over a 17th century portrait, applying microscopic layers of varnish. Adrian entered quietly, carrying 2 porcelain cups of chrysanthemum tea. He settled beside her, watching her careful brush strokes. You didn't have to offered a small smile. It's perfect. Steam curled from their cups. They spoke in whispers, of color palettes, fading pigments, the way light unites brushwork. No grand gestures, just shared passion. When Eveline looked up, she caught him studying a tiny crack in the canvas. You see it? She asked. He nodded, fingers trailing an invisible line on the wood table. Your eye is remarkable. Her pulse fluttered. Around them, soft hum of machines and the distant city pulse formed a cocoon. He stood, offering her his hand. Walk with me. Outside, the rooftop terrace glittered. They strolled amid potted orchids. The skyline a river of lights. No titles, no cameras, just 2 souls suspended between obligation and something tender. A breeze stirred her hair. He brushed a stray strand from her face, thumb grazing her cheek. Their eyes met, no words needed. Will Eveline let her guard down, or retreat into the safety of her doubts? Night in the Sinclair workshop, a cathedral of half-finished sculptures and drying canvases. Eveline adjusted lights on an abandoned fresco when a voice froze her. Eveline Hart. She turned to see Rowan Pierce, her former mentor and brief fiancé, leaning against a crate, shadowed by moonlight. His tailored suit looked new, his gaze sharp as obsidian. Rowan, her breath caught. Their breakup had been ugly. Accusations of betrayal, stolen ideas. He stepped forward, eyes flicking to Adrian's Sinclair Collection Protocols on her bench. I see you've moved up in the art world. Her chest tightened. I work for Sinclair now. He nodded slowly. And he trusts you with masterpieces. Impressive. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Prove you deserve it. Eveline's hands curled into fists. The fresco cratered under neglect and under her doubt. A distant clang, a security guard announcing the lab's late-night hours. Rowan's gaze lingered. We'll meet again. With that, he vanished into the shadows, leaving Eveline to the hush of half-born art and a heart pounding with old wounds. Can she face a ghost of her past without letting it destroy her future? Morning. The Sinclair atrium brimmed with reporters. A podium stood before a colossal Damien painting, its title hidden by a silk cover. Eveline stood at Adrian's side, nerves coiling. He lifted the cover. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the unveiling of our Vermeer acquisition. Gasps, cameras flared. But behind the frenzy, Rowan's article surfaced on a tablet, claiming Eveline had falsified credentials. Headlines: Sinclair's Curator, fraud. Reporters swarmed. Ms. Hart, care to respond? Her heart hammered. She glanced at Adrian. His eyes burned with challenge. Breathing deep, Eveline stepped forward. Every qualification I've earned is legitimate, she began, voice steady. My work speaks through restored masterpieces, and tonight, this Vermeer, she gestured, to the painting, its authenticity is backed by archival records and scientific analysis. I supervised. Whispers rippled. She held their gaze. I was hired for passion, not pedigree. Adrian placed a hand on her back. I stand by her. Flashbulbs exploded. Doubts tangled with belief. The room teetered. Would scandal or skill prevail? What would you do when your integrity is on trial before the world? Later, in a hushed courtyard lit by lanterns, Adrian faced Eveline, his tailored tuxedo now softened by lantern glow. You were magnificent today. Eveline's shoulders slumped with relief and exhaustion. I nearly lost everything. He knelt in the gravel, producing a simple ringgold with a single brushstroke engraving. This is my promise. I believe in your vision. Tears gleamed on her lashes. She knelt beside him. And I believe in you, and us. He slipped the ring on her finger, a vow beyond art, beyond titles. A quiet applause rose from hidden servants. Their world shifted in that moment. No audience, just two hearts forging a masterpiece of their own. Will this bond withstand the next storm? Months later, Eveline stood in a sunlit community studio. She'd found it paint-splattered walls, easels in every corner. Children and amateurs lined up, brushes in hand, Dot at her side. Adrian unveiled a plaque, the Hart Sinclair Restoration Fellowship. She swept a hand across the room. Art belongs to everyone. Marisol cheered from the back. Rowan watched with respect. Reporters snapped photos, this time celebrating her triumph, not tearing her down. Adrian squeezed her hand. Your greatest masterpiece yet. As laughter and chatter filled the studio, Eveline realized she had turned doubt into opportunity and shared a world of beauty with others. What passion project would you launch if given the chance? Soft piano returns as our narrator's voice whispers. Thank you for joining Eveline and Adrian's journey where love became the ultimate restoration. A gentle pause. If your heart raced, hit like. If you crave more Billionaire love friction, subscribe. Share your favorite moment below, and stay tuned for our next emotional roller coaster. Lights fade on the studio, until the next masterpiece beckons.